A very good evening to all of you. I hope all of you are staying safe and staying strong. Welcome to the 77th session of CENTA's webinar series for teachers. The theme for today's session, as you all know, is cultivating gratitude. Over the course of the next 1 hour or so, we will focus on A, understanding what gratitude is, what its benefits are, and how to cultivate it, and B, experiencing the feeling of gratitude and its resultant benefits in our life. The session is going to be facilitated by Ms. Ruchi Ghose. Ruchi is the founder director of Viridis Social Impact Solutions. Good evening, Ruchi. Wonderful to have you with us today.
Thank you,
Uh,
Karthik. I'm so happy to be here.
a, a quick introduction. Ruchi is a founding director, as I said, at Viridis Social Impact Solutions, and she is also a co-initiator of the Wellbeing Movement. At Viridis, Ruchi is currently focused on taking well-being programs to individuals, organizations, and educational institutions. Her deep-rooted conviction that like so many other skills, well-being too can be learned, springs from her own personal experience and drives her interest and passion in supporting others to cultivate well-being. Her experience in recent years has been in the social sector with organizations such as Teacher Foundation and Azim Premji Foundation. She has also worked in the areas of design and educational change, deeply rooted in schools. Her experience spans designing for teacher professional development, change facilitation, school leadership development, and setting up schools. Ruchi holds a master's degree in economics from Kolkata University and an MBA from the University of California at Los Angeles. After an initial stint which was a little over a decade in marketing and advertising, she switched domains when quite inadvertently she discovered her passion, which is education. She was initiated into this field of education as a primary school teacher in the Sri Ram School Aravali in Gurgaon in the year 2001, and she feels that that has been an extremely joyful and fruitful experience. And she also believes that this was one of the wisest and the best decisions that she ever made in her life. She has these deep respect and admiration for teachers and looks forward to every opportunity to work with teachers. Fantastic to have you with us, Richie. Before you start, just a couple of housekeeping announcements which I typically make. One is regarding the feedback form. We will be sharing the feedback form for the session at 5:45 p.m., which is around 45 minutes from now. It will be shared at two places. One is the live chat section where you can see lots of good evenings and hellos and all of that. That's the place that you need to look at 5:45 p.m. to see the feedback form. In case you are having any issues in filling in the feedback form from there, the feedback form is also going to be available in on the homepage of my center, which is m.centa.org from your mobile browser, which is also the place that you use to register for the session. And please fill the feedback form in. It is super critical for us to issue you your record of participation tomorrow. So please fill that feedback form in and you'll have time till tonight to fill it in. Yeah, that's and also one more thing, super critical for this session. Please make sure that you have a pencil and a paper and pen ready with you because there'll be some writing involved. So that's pretty much it from my side, Ruchi. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Karthik. Thank you very much. Good evening, teachers, and welcome. And for the reasons Karthik mentioned, I'm really happy to be here today. I would like to begin by acknowledging the amazing job that teachers across the country have been doing during the pandemic and the kinds of challenges that they have faced and overcome. So, my deepest gratitude, admiration, and respect. We'll begin in a moment, and I want to earnestly request you all to participate wholeheartedly, which means that there will be exercises, that one or two exercises that I will ask you to do, which are for yourself only. And your responses, I don't want you to share. But after the exercises, what you think, I would request you to be enthusiastic in responding on your chat, your insights, your reflections. That's all. So now I'm going to share my screen so that we can begin. Just give me a moment to do that. Okay. So Today's webinar, as Karthik said, is on the theme of gratitude. Grateful people are happier people. This seems like one of those, motivational WhatsApp messages or bumper stickers that you may see because of its obvious truth and positive feel. But research on gratitude also backs up the statement. When you experience a moment, I want you to think back to a time when you have experienced a moment when someone does something for you, unexpected, and that fills your heart with a grateful feeling of warmth. And that can feel wonderful. I'm sure many of you have experienced that and can resonate with that feeling. So, the proposition before you today is that you don't have to wait for circumstances to bring this feeling to you. There are things that you can do in your life to proactively create feelings of gratitude for yourself, with the experiences that you already have in your life, with the things that you already have. You don't have to do anything extra. And you can create new experiences that will bring these feelings of gratitude to your life and to those of others around you. And that is what today's session, as Karthik said, is about. Understanding gratitude, its benefits, and some strategies to positively cultivate gratitude. Also, I want to say you don't have to take my word for it. Whenever I say something, I want you to consider it as a proposal and accept it or reject it on its own merits. You examine it, you see whether it applies in your own life, and then you decide whether it makes sense for you. So, I hope all of you have that sheets of paper handy, and we are going to begin with the exercise. Now, if you see on my screen, there is this picture: knowledge and skills that contribute to what I'm able to do today. I want you to draw this, just a circle like this, blank circle. Don't write knowledge and skills. I'll tell you what you have to write. Draw this in the middle of the sheet of paper that you have. Take an A4 size paper and place it on in a landscape fashion. And just draw the circle, leaving enough space around it. I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that. Then I want you to identify any one knowledge or skill that you have today, that is yours today, that allows you to do and be what you are and to make your living. I want you to reflect and think about all the different people who have played a part in contributing to this knowledge and skills. Okay, I'll explain. Who contributed to your acquiring these knowledge and skills directly or indirectly? So, for example, if I was to take the skill for myself of reading and writing, I would write in the center reading and writing. This is what I would write: my ability to read and write. And who are the people who have contributed directly? I would say, of course, my various teachers, particularly some teachers who have taught me to, really love words and reading. My parents, who have contributed in many different ways. Maybe the librarian, who, of the library near my house, where I was a member and I read a lot. Those are the direct contributions. Now, the indirect contributions are: how did these things come about? When I went to school, I sat at a desk. Who made that desk? Who set up the schools? Who built that school building? How did that school get founded? Who took me to school? How did I get to school? The school bus. The teachers who taught me, who enabled or contributed to them becoming teachers, who made them do and behave the way they did, the books that I read. Okay? You get the gist. Those are the indirect contributors. So basically, you ask who contributed and you ask who contributed to this. So it's like a ripple effect. The first layer are perhaps the direct contributors, the next is the indirect, and after that is the indirect, in layers. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes for this exercise. Your time starts now. And please think of a skill and put down the direct and the indirect contributions. For 5 minutes, don't lift your pencil off the paper. Just write what comes in your mind. Okay? So your time starts now. I see some responses in chat. I want you to do this exercise on paper and then I will ask for responses on chat. You don't have to respond in chat to me. Okay, I hope everybody's been able to put down some responses for this. One skill and who contributed to your acquiring it directly and indirectly. Now, I want you to sit for a moment in silence to absorb what you're feeling after the exercise. Just look at what you have done and let it soak in. And now I request you to share what was going through your mind and heart right now, just after you have done this exercise and looked and reflected upon what you have put down. I want you to share what is going through your mind and heart right now in the chat box. I'll wait for a few minutes for your responses. Okay, so I see a lot of responses now. I feel a sense of gratitude, positive vibes, respect and gratitude, sense of gratitude, how my personal experiences impact effectiveness, thankful, respect and love, happy and contented, can't thank people enough. I'm sorry, some people are having trouble. Says no audio. Showing gratitude towards them who are behind this. Felt happy. Okay, we learn from each other and everything around us. I'm feeling grateful. Thank you so much for your responses. So, what you're experiencing possibly now is a warmth. If you turn inwards and tune to your body, is possibly a warm feeling in your chest and a very pleasant sensation and feeling in your heart. And that is the feeling of gratitude. And the accompanying thought that so many people have contributed to your development and your well being. All of that is gratitude. Right now, after doing this exercise, you are immersed in the emotion of gratitude. So, based on this exercise, I want to point out to you that gratitude is a two-stage emotion. Number one, it is the feeling that arises from the recognition. You have to recognize that you have been given something, a gift, something good has happened. And two, that there is an external source for this gift or this positive outcome. Where it has come is from outside of you. And it involves the head, the heart, and the hand, the action. We have to recognize that's our head. You have to see it. You have to take cognizance of it. Oh, yes, this is something that I have received as a gift, that it's not due to me, but I have received it, that I appreciate it, and to be able to express. So it needs all of these three things. Moving on, I want to do one more exercise. I want to take a piece of paper and create the table below. I hope I have no way of knowing whether my instructions are reaching you all and it's clear. I sincerely hope it is. I want you to create again in landscape form this table. 2 columns, 3 columns, and in the rows, write this: nature, society, and family. Again, I'm going to give you a moment to create this table. If you have created this table, now we'll populate it column by column, cell by cell. So, first of all, I want you to write down all the things that you have received from nature. And here I provided an example. I want to say that this is a personal list, not what human beings receive, what you have received. Okay, so anything that you have benefited from, perhaps some of you live near a forest, some of you have a garden, some of you, I don't know. Whatever you have received and experienced from nature, I want you to put down. And I have put 2, 3 things down as to start you off. But please remember, this is a personal list. I want you to make this list as exhaustive as possible, personal and as comprehensive. Just keep writing. Don't lift your finger. Just keep writing. What all comes to your mind, what you have received. Okay. Now we move to the next cell. Society. What have you received from society? Some examples are education, roads, law and order. Once again, whatever you have received, just keep writing. Push yourself, make it as exhaustive as possible. And again, what you have received. Okay, now what you have received from your family. So some examples are, somebody gave you birth, they provided you shelter, they brought you up, they guided you. So anything. Some people might have been married off, different things. Whatever you have received from your family that you have received, write it down. Okay, now we move to the second column. We have put down what we have received from nature, society, family. At least we've made a beginning. It's not something we can, just make a totally comprehensive list. But the things that you have contributed, what have you given back to nature, if you have? Again, perhaps somebody has planted and protected trees, whatever you can think of, what you have given back to nature. And once again, remember, this is a personal list, what you have done, not just what anybody has, people have done. Again, moving on. What have you contributed to society? Here, all of you are teachers, so educating others is definitely something that all of you have done. But besides that, whatever you have done for society, please put that down. And lastly, whatever you have done, contributed to your family, whatever it is. Okay, now what I want you to do is to just compare the two and just sit for a minute in silence to absorb whatever you are feeling after the exercise. And after that, once again, I want you to type in the chat box your insights and your feelings. So Anju says, received more. Somebody says self awareness, being human being, love to my family, okay, responsibility. So people have shared what they have contributed. I would, yeah, now I'm seeing feeling blessed. Um, I feel humbled and have received more than I have given. We receive more than we contribute. Love in abundance and monetary benefits. I have taken more and given less, given less. I have realized that we have received a lot from nature and family and society, but contributed very little. Received more, contributed less. Grateful. Absolutely. You're totally right. That all of us, we get so many gifts from nature, society, and family. And we just think that, yes, this is our due. We don't even notice it. And you're right, we get a lot more than we contribute, all of us. And when we notice it, when we see it, then it begins to bring this sense of gratitude that you are all feeling right now. Right now, in this moment, if you turn inwards into what is happening inside your heart and your head, you're feeling a deep sense of gratitude. And that brings me to the point that I made when I started, that, we feel gratitude normally when somebody does something unexpected and we say, ah, how lovely, thank you so much. But the point I want to make that I said earlier is that you don't have to wait for a circumstance or an occasion when somebody does something good for you or nice for you. You There are things you can do and notice in your own life to create these feelings of gratitude within yourself, with the experiences and with you what you already have. And especially in these times, it's a very very important and useful and powerful transformative tool that we have at our disposal. So, a little bit more on gratitude, I want to say, is that gratitude is a gift. No, when you recognize it, when you get something which you recognize as a gift, that, something that you didn't go after, that you don't think you deserve or you've earned, but when you recognize that you have received something that is a gift, and because of the good intentions of another person or the universe or god or nature, it's a blessing that is bestowed. And when you recognize it as such, it fills you with humility. It helps you to acknowledge the goodness in your life. It is other focused because it is expressed to another. To reap the full benefits of gratitude, remember what I said 2 3 slides ago. The head, the heart, and hand, meaning action, that you express, you let the other person know. How many of us, I mean, simple exercise as acknowledging all the people I saw in the chat. Many of you have said, I did not realize that there were so many people behind my skill or, my well being or my development. And not just recognizing, but letting them know. That's when you experience it, sort of comes full circle and you experience its full benefit. Or, recognizing just what the universe has given us, how it nurtures us, something that you did in this exercise just now. How often, I mean, this was a little exercise that we did, if you like, in a laboratory kind of situation. It was an exercise. But how often do we actually think like this? See, you know, in a simple day to day act of whatever happens to us, for us, acknowledge that, yes, I'm grateful for this. And yes, recognize that you're being nurtured, supported. Gratitude is the recognition of the grace that you have in your life. When you recognize this, when you recognize this grace, then things happen effortlessly and smoothly. You know, it's not about the point I want to make. 100 times a day we say sorry and thank you. So it's not about behavior. It's not about saying thank you to somebody. Many times the thank you is very mechanical. We say it, but it doesn't, we don't actually, it's a very mechanistic response. And that does not necessarily, it can, but it does not necessarily qualify as being gratitude unless you recognize that gift. You recognize that the other person had something, the other person's intention. And as I said, the hand, heart, and action has to go together. So it's the recognition of that grace you have in your life. And gratitude, when you feel gratitude, it attracts abundance and joy and satisfaction in your life. The more grateful you feel, the more abundant and abundance and prosperity you experience. So, what are the benefits of being grateful? In recent years, there has been a lot of research that has been done on gratitude and other positive emotions. Studies have shown that practicing gratitude actually has a physiological impact on the brain, a lasting impact on the brain. It leads to increased levels of dopamine, serotonin production, increased activity in the prefrontal cortex. Those are the regions associated with, when you experience gratitude, the neural networks that light up are the same networks that light up when we meet friends, when we experience pleasure. It's the same centers of the brain. So, and research has actually shown that just a very minimal 5 to 6 minutes of gratitude practice, authentic practice a day, leads to increased levels of happiness. Gratitude makes us more resilient. It allows us to bounce back from challenges and difficulties because we recognize the good in our life. We recognize the positivity in our life. And this practicing of gratitude, actively, deliberately summoning, thinking about something, what am I grateful for? And focusing on that actually allows you to shift how you are feeling in the moment. And when you can shift your attention away from negative emotions to positive emotions, you can experience greater, it allows you to come back to being resilient and okay faster. Feeling grateful actually enhances physical health because, again, it lowers stress levels. Stress causes inflammation in the body. Inflammation in the body leads to weakening of our immune system. So, when you lower stress, you lower inflammation, you make your immune system stronger, and generally experience better health. As I said, it helps to remove toxic and afflictive emotions. It puts us in a better place. I mean, just I can see from your responses in the chat right now how you are feeling in the moment right now. Not saying it's going to last forever, but in the moment, you are feeling good, you're feeling happy, you're feeling positive. You might have displaced. Maybe some of you came into the session feeling tired, feeling negative, feeling overwhelmed. I don't know. We all have bad days sometimes. But it is difficult to simultaneously have both positive and negative emotions. So, when you deliberately cultivate gratitude and appreciation, you bring in this emotion of warmth, of happiness, of satisfaction, of abundance, and you displace and get rid of, in the moment, of negative emotions. You feel more joy, pleasure, you feel great. And all this has been proven by research. They do research where, they make control groups. I'm not specifically quoting any research, but if you look, you will find a lot of literature on how people are given different exercises and imaging studies of their brain are done. So people who actively practice gratitude, uh, they feel greater optimism, they are able to complete tasks better, and a lot of positive things happen. When you focus on the positive, you complain less. You complain less, you feel happier. And all of these were things that happened within you. If you look at your relationships, it also has social benefits. Because as I said, gratitude is an other focused emotion. It has something to do with the other. We have to express gratitude. Even if we don't express it, even if you feel gratitude to the other, it has a benefit. And it really makes you feel connected to uh, others. You feel a greater sense of connection, you feel less isolated. And in these times, that is so important. You feel a greater degree of compassion. It can transform and enrich your relationships a lot. And I want to say that if we cannot recognize the gifts that we have today, how will we recognize the gifts that we get in the future? It lays the foundations for happiness. Those are some of the benefits of being grateful. And I want to say that, of all the well being practices, the things that you can do to cultivate gratitude are perhaps some of the most tangible and easier things to do. For example, a simple thing is to keep a gratitude journal. It's a simple practice. Even if you don't keep a journal, when you get up from your bed in the morning, before as your feet touch the ground, simply bring to your mind three things for which you are grateful. And three specific things. It can be something really simple, for an exchange that you had with someone you loved, a very tasty meal that you ate. It doesn't have to be big things. For an opportunity or a chance compliment that somebody gave you, for a smile that you received that you didn't expect. But make it specific. So it can be something that you write, or something that you bring to mind, or as you sleep, anything. But as I said, it's important to make it specific. And it is, as I said, one of the most accessible practices. It can be done with very little effort and very little time. And you can feel the benefits, the short term benefits. You have an immediate feeling as you experienced when we did those two gratitude exercises. And if you persist and you deepen, if you are regular and you do this every day, you will find a shift in your state of well being over time. You will experience far deeper benefits. So, as I said, a gratitude journal, or even visual reminders like a gratitude jar for class teachers in a face-to-face classroom, or even you can create a digital kind of a jar where students contribute one thing that they are grateful for, two things. It can be with a family, it can be a community or a family practice. Maybe before a meal or before dinner, the family, everybody in the family articulates one thing that they are grateful for. Or you create a social media group. I'd like to share with you our experience as a group of, you know, we do workshops on gratitude, and then often after that we run these gratitude challenges where we create a WhatsApp group for people who want to practice this. It's to help set off a practice, and we send prompts every day and people respond to the prompt. The prompt requires you to be specific, so something that in my relationships or something in nature or something, a small everyday act, anything. They're different prompts. And as you read this, I'm just saying how social media can create this community, sense of community, and this power of community. As you read this, you get inspired by others' prompts, and it creates a lot of positive energy for you and for the group. A trick is to, we all have bad days. And right now, I know there are many, many uh, not such good days. But a trick is to recall a worse day and to look, even in that bad day, what is something that I can be grateful for. This is a very nice, you can go to the net and Google 365 Gratitude Project. It's a project where people contribute, you can join, and people contribute a photograph a day or something a day for one thing that you're grateful for. So you can make it a private project, or you can also join the gratitude project. And I would encourage you to take up any one of these simple practices. If it's so easy and the benefits are so numerous, why don't we do it? So why not be able to sustain it all of the time? What gets in the way? In here is a time for introspection. The biggest thing that gets in the way is that we fail to notice. We fail to see because we are so busy and so stressed. We are so caught up in the day to day. Our attention does not go on it. As you see, we are so focused on the negativity. Here, somebody's actually trying to look at the good, but the brain says, no, no, I'm busy. And here, and there is a evolutionary reason for this. It partly comes from a survival instinct. We are wired, we are programmed to survive. So our brain tends to focus on threats and negative things that may jeopardize, which may harm our welfare. So we need to focus and on the positive and overcome that negativity bias. So cultivating attention, that's why practice and a ritual becomes so important in the process of cultivating attention. Again, this is part of our conditioning. We are so wired to compare. So and so did this, and social media does not make it any easier. Facebook and uh, you know Instagram and all the posts, it looks like everyone else but you has the most wonderful life and so much happening. So that's one of the challenges and the things that we have to overcome. We have this illusion of independence. When we do something, when we achieve something, we think we did this, our hard work. My I did this by dint of my own ability and my hard work. We discount other people's contributions. Again, I come back to, we don't notice other people's contributions. As you saw in the first exercise that we did, the skill of reading and writing, or any skill that you thought of. We forget that so many people across geographies and across time have had a hand in it. And again, this is part of our conditioning. Our expectations from others, our self focus tends to make us blow out of proportion what we have done. The same thing that makes us think, I did it. This is my hard work. Also makes us, I did this for so and so. She didn't even say thank you. She can't even be grateful. So these are some of the things. And a lot of it boils down to A, noticing, and B, overcoming ingrained conditioning habits, which again requires conscious effort. You have to take your brain for a walk just for 5 minutes a day and say, here, focus attention on this, look at this, think about this. And those are the practices that I just gave you. So, I want to, as I conclude, I want to leave you with this thought, some questions. Do you recognize the gifts that you have received? Do you actively acknowledge and feel grateful to all those who have made contributions to your life? Do you look at what is working as well as what is, I know, what is not working? There are a lot of things not working right now. But do you focus only on that, or do you also look at what is working for you? And do you make the efforts to express what you need to be grateful for? Or are you just expecting gratitude from others? I want you to think about these. And as I'm looking at the time, there was one more exercise. I was going to leave you with this exercise, but I'm going to take maybe 5, 6 minutes to do this exercise with you and then get to question and answer. Karthik, is it okay if I take 5, 10 minutes more, do this exercise, finish by 6, and then take 10 minutes of question and answer?
Sure, sure. That's completely all right. Should be fine. Yeah.
Okay. So, this is the last exercise where I want you to practice. Think of someone who has been really influential in your life. It could be a parent, any other caregiver, a mentor, a teacher, a good boss, a principal, a peer, anybody. Think of that one person and write down why this person was so important to you. As you do this, write for 5 minutes. I want you to take a pencil and paper, write down that person's name and their relationship to you. And I want you to just write. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes, maybe four, to just write. It's 5:54 by my watch, and we will stop at 5:58. So please take a pencil and paper and write who this person is and why have they been so important to you in your life. So I see one or two responses which say the person to me. I want you to also write privately for yourself, why is that person important to you? That's a very important part of this exercise. Okay, if you did the exercise and wrote down why that person, whether it's your father, your grandmother, your mentor, your guru, your wife, absorb, sit in minute, sit in silence for a minute and just get in touch with what you're feeling. That feeling of warmth and happiness and gratitude. And then once you go from this session, I want you to do one thing. Whoever you chose, whoever you chose, I want you to express your gratitude to them. Not just say thank you. Tell them the things that you wrote, that this is what I have got from you. And that is why I feel gratitude. Be specific. So you can either write or you can pick up the phone and speak to them. So this is an exercise where we say gratitude letter and gratitude visit. Make a gratitude visit. If in this short time you were not able to write the gratitude letter, write it with when you have more time, and then make that gratitude visit on Zoom, on phone or WhatsApp or anything. But do that and see how it works. Because the expression of gratitude is complete when we express it to the person. You will feel benefits even if you don't express. But think how much more warmth and happiness you can spread when you express it. Sometimes you may feel uncomfortable, but the journey is worth it. So I want to leave you with the notion that push yourself to express it. Practice it in the mirror if you like. There are people who are hesitant to express. But growth and development is actually letting go of things that don't work for you and acquiring new ways of being. So, with that, I'm going to stop sharing and we can take. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and yes, I would like to take uh, any questions if there are.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ruchi, for a wonderful, wonderful session. Lots of thank you messages, lots of messages where people said that they, over the last hour, they went down the memory lane, and then it was really, really good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for a fantastic session. Uh, we have a few questions, and I'm just going to pin them on the screen as well. This
So that'd be
question is from
great.
Mr. Sarjan. Somashekaran, and Mr. Sarjan is asking, from generation to generation, students lose their ability to express gratitude towards teachers. What are the reasons and what should be done to correct this? Even parents are not very thankful to teachers.
So that's a tough one. But I want to say that students is relatively easier. We can help cultivate this with students. And you can help cultivate this with some of the practices that I talked about. But most of all, it's role modeling. Ultimately, Sajan, what do we have control over? I have no control over anyone else, but I have agency over myself. I can change myself. So if I, as a teacher, I can practice it, I can role model it, and I can help students cultivate it. There are a lot of schools which are actively devoting time to cultivating some of these values and behaviors in students. There are a lot of curriculums. There is this happiness curriculum in Delhi, So all of these have to be actively taught. What is true of students is true of us. Like we fail to notice. Like you all experienced an aha moment when you did that exercise. Like that, you can think of ways where you can help students. It's like your attention is a thing separate of yourself. You can take your attention by the hand and place it on something. Teach students to do that. And for this, there are a lot of ways to practice this. But some of the simple practices, and I will give you one, that once a day with students, even on Zoom, you'd say, let's do this. Let us all put in the chat, if you do Zoom classes, one thing that we are grateful for. And you start. And don't say, I'm grateful for my family. Say, make it specific. I'm grateful that I have at least, I have my health and I have my job in a time when, whatever it is that comes to you, when so many people don't have jobs.
Sure. I'm just trying to fish for any questions in this pool of thank you messages. There are so many of them. But there was an interesting question, and it was from Miss Radha Vishwanathan. Radha ma'am, of course, is a regular participant of all our sessions, and she was curious to know what viridis means.
Oh, viridis comes from the Latin word green and fresh. And we called our organization that because we want to do work that is paradigm shifting, which changes the way we like to work in the social sector with organization, social purpose organizations and educational institutions. So that is why we called it Viridis Social Impact Solutions.
Sure. I think we've
I
covered.
saw a question
I think.
somewhere when I was scrolling through the chat. I've lost it now,
Mm.
which I have sort of
Mhm.
answered. Something about that sometimes there is so much negativity that
Mm.
it's hard to shift. So I want to say
Yeah.
again that all those things are true, especially right now. We are all, some of us are um, going through a lot of difficulties. But I want to say that even in that, can we put down one lens and take up another lens and say that even in this, is there any opportunity? Sometimes a negative thing helps me to grow. Unless you have difficulties, you will not develop. So sometimes, if you look at a difficulty as a challenge, as an opportunity to grow, it helps you to be grateful. All these things are easier said than done. I totally appreciate that. And I totally appreciate that teachers' lives right now are really challenging. But I go back to that there is only my agency. That's all. I can do nothing to change the outside world. Zero. But I have some control over how I respond to that world, to the event. So Rima's asked, how can we inculcate the habit of being grateful in young children? So I have said this before, a role model. Sometimes as teachers, we tend to think, okay, I'm all right. The problem lies with the children. Start with yourself first. Role model. And secondly, put in place little practice. Start the day. Two things. Start the day, and I'll give you a simple practice. As children come, say, let's just close our eyes and focus on our breath. Count our breath 10 times. And then, can we all bring to mind one thing that happened? If you're doing it in the morning, you say one good thing that happened to us yesterday. Any one good thing. Type it in the chat. You do this every day. Vary it a little. One day say, one good, beautiful thing in nature that you noticed, one good thing that your friend did for you, one good thing that a stranger did for you. If you go to the net and you'll find a lot of gratitude prompts, run a gratitude challenge. And then see every experience, Rima, you put children through an experience. But unless they reflect and think about that experience, they don't learn. You don't learn. And you learn from experience only when you take some distance from that experience and you look at it. And so you ask children, how does that make you feel? What have you learned from it? The simple exercise that I did with you, do it with your students. All three exercises can be done so easily with your students. They're good for adults, they're good for students. So, but you have to repeat it. Small, small things. Should we be grateful to the person who has not done good to us? This takes me into a. So it depends on what is the bad that that person has done. Sometimes people do us immense, immense harm. And it's okay to push that out of your mind. Deep rooted harm, which has really scarred us. It's okay. You don't have to deal with it. But many times we see small things as, oh, she did this to me. And in that case, you don't have to be grateful to that person, but you can look at that negative event. You can look for how did that negative event help me to grow? How did I come out of that? Maybe I didn't get a job, or maybe my boss gave me some very critical feedback, which made me feel terrible. But did it help me? So you don't have to be grateful to the person if you can't be. But you can look at that person as an instrument of your growth. And when you look at that person as an instrument of your growth, then some feeling of gratitude, or at least you're able to replace that resentment, that anger, that frustration, which only does harm to you, that only stresses you. So that is one way of dealing with it. But as I said, if there is somebody, there are people who have had really traumatic and horrible experiences. Please, it's okay. Just deal with it the way that you know best. If you need professional help, get professional help. If you want to shut it out of your mind, shut it out of your mind.
There's one final question which we could take.
Yeah.
It's already 11 minutes past 6. But there's one question from Ms. Hema Malini, and she's asking, could you throw some light
So
on
I would
gratitude for
say that
listeners?
they should Google this. This was a project that was done, and it's, that every day, the way I have seen it, that every day, 365 days of the year, and this is again something you can run for your students. Students create a portfolio, a gratitude 365 project, where every day they take a picture. These days, especially for slightly older students, everyone has a cell phone. You take a picture of something, whether it was a moment, whether it was a dish, whether it was a person, something that represents something that you are grateful for in that day. Then you write 2, 3 lines about it with the date. And you create this as a portfolio. And then so for students, it can be a PDF file, individual PDF files. Again, it depends on the level of technology. You can create drop boxes, or I'm not the most technologically savvy person to give you the best solution for this, but that is one way that you could look at it in a school context, doing it with your class, 365 days of gratitude. I saw something. I want to say that how do, as teachers, that is a very powerful. See, teachers are like contagions, like a virus. Teacher behavior can be very contagious. And if teachers express gratitude to students, and again, genuine gratitude, whatever it is. So, whoever asked that question, if I could have a response from them saying that, one thing saying, what is it that they are grateful for from their students? The fact that they show up on Zoom, the fact that, you know, um, that the teacher, because the students are there, the teacher has a job, whatever it is. So to tell them, to let them know, to communicate that is very, very important. And in fact, that can set the tone for doing it with the students. You know, think of it as the teacher and student on a journey together, and pose it like that, especially for older students, that together we will learn to be grateful. Together, we will improve our happiness and optimism with cultivating gratitude. Together, we will improve our resiliency with gratitude. Gratitude is a great instrument to cultivate well being.
Sure. There's a thank you message, and I've just pinned that on the page, and there were tons of it. But thank you once again, Rishi, for a fantastic session. In fact, we've got recommendations for the next session, and there are some of us who would want you to do a session on forgiveness. So that'd be an interesting one, I guess. So, but thank you once
Okay.
again for taking out time and doing the session for us. Really, really appreciate it. And I'm really hoping that we could get you back for another session in some time. We would love to do that. Thank you once again, and thank you to all of you. There were more than 1,000 of us who were watching the session live at a point. So thank you once again for taking time on a Thursday evening and joining us. Thank you so much for the continued support and love. Uh, there were a few questions on the feedback form. We've pasted the feedback form link multiple times in the chat section, and it's also available on my center. So please fill that in, and you'll get your record of participation by noon tomorrow. You'll have to download it from your my center account by noon tomorrow. So please do fill in the feedback form, and in case you face any issues, please write to us at team@center.org. I As always, please share this video, like the video, and share it in your network so that your friends can also benefit from it. And that's pretty much it from our side. And any parting
I
words?
just want to say
Yeah,
one word, maybe one
yeah.
couple of sentences. That's all. I just want to say thank you to all the teachers. I don't know how many there were, because I believe that teachers do very important work, possibly the most important work that there is to do. And I'm always so grateful for an opportunity to be and work with teachers. So thank you so very much for being here and being such a wonderful audience and participating. And yes, so gratitude.
Thank you, Kavita Kandan ma'am. Thank you, Ramesh sir. Thank you, Mahua ma'am. Thanks a lot, and I hope to see you on Monday. We have a special session on Monday. It's a session for school leaders, but please feel free to join in. It's going to be a conversation on how technology could could help making processes in schools better, and we'll have Mr. Amit Doshi from Lenovo in a conversation with Ramya, who is our founder CEO. So please, the registrations as always are open on my center, which is m.center.org from your mobile browser. Please go ahead and register yourself, and also share the link with your school leaders. I'm sure they'll find this session interesting. Thank you once again, and as always, stay safe, stay strong, and I hope to see all of you next week. Bye.
Bye bye.